is my amp broken? So often I think I've got a broken amplifier and I haven't got a broken amplifier. I change amps and receivers all the time, you know. It's got to be 60% of the time, no, sorry, 40% of the time that I plug everything in, sit down, turn on, and nothing happens. Just I've got something wrong. So be super aware. It's so easily done. There's so many things that you can, you know, get wrong. And we're going to do some basic troubleshooting, or at least the basic principles of troubleshooting, which is important. I mean, I always call it, you know, I think about Sherlock Holmes, the detective, if you know him, you know, it's deduction, isn't it? It's not that, it's not that, it's got to be that. This is what you're doing. You're deducing things, isolating problems. So let's just do a super basic thing and you'll get the principle I'm talking about. I mean, this is for people that aren't really majorly dabbling in hi-fi for years. Like I know a lot of people here are. So, but you know, it's for beginners, and you know, you might possibly learn something along the way if you're an experienced hi-fi person. Or you can tell me if you've got some better ideas. But basically, let's imagine, turn it on, only one speaker is working, right? Super common problem. So what you're going to do, you're trying to figure out where is this problem? Is it in the source, the CD, the streamer, the turntable? Is it in the amp, or is it the speakers? So first thing I would do is I'd go to my input. I've got this in aux. Let's say this streamer here. Let's plug it in just to make it all official. Oh no, these are female doodahs. Wait a second. I'll use these. Let's imagine we're plugged in here. Red is right. And we're only getting one channel and we're wondering what's going on. First thing I would do, well, this is actually, let me say again, this is probably the first thing I would do, is to make sure my amp is working. If you have got some headphones, or in fact, don't even use headphones, do it like this. I'll turn this on. Just check if your amp is working. Go to the radio, medium wave. Both speakers working, yeah? I mean, it's just an easy way. You don't have to plug in something and figure out if the left and the right channels are working. If you go to FM, you have to take the muting off if you haven't got an aerial in. Yeah, if you put the muting in, you won't hear a single thing. But it's just a simple way to check if your amp is working. Because if it's playing the radio, if it's a receiver and it's playing the radio, it should be working for your inputs. Should be. 99% chance it is. But anyway, so let's imagine one channel's not working. First thing I would do would be to take my inputs and swap them over. Yes? So as if the channel that was working swaps now to the other side, I know two things. I know both my speakers are working and both channels of my amp is working. And I know the problem, I know three things, don't I? And I know the problem is somewhere from this wire backwards to the source. Do you know? So I've isolated, deduced the problem or the problem area. I mean, you might, probably the easiest thing, I would also first try, just change that lead. Yes? Swap this lead over for a lead that you know is working, you know. You're always cross-referencing things. It worked here, okay, that's definitely working, you know. So put a new lead in there. If the problem persists, it's definitely in here. It's definitely in here. I mean, this has got a little headphone socket on it. I'd put the headphones in there if I had some. And, you know, if you find that that's only got one channel working, okay, the problem is in this box. So, you know, you've done that deduction. I mean, let's say this is working, and we're only coming out of one speaker. Yeah. So what you would then do is I'd swap my speaker wires over. Yes. So I swap my speaker wires over, and if in the room the problem went from that speaker to that speaker, it would basically mean, because I swapped the wires, that only one channel is working. My speakers are working, one channel of the amp isn't working. So, you know, that would probably be your final deduction. This amp is not working. If you have, let me go here, if you have a tuner input, let's say, and an aux input, you could try both of them. Your streamer or your CD player can go in tuner or aux. Try both of them. That's unlikely to solve the problem, but you never know. It's worth trying. But you know, that sounds like, then you've got your deduction. Only one channel on the amp is working. A lot of old amps have fuses in. And by the way, a lot of old amps do not like it. This is a speaker wire. A lot of old amps, really old ones, don't like it if you touch those wires together. When you're trying to connect your speakers, you can blow a fuse in them, and you'll see fuses if you open these up. So, and I'm not going to go into all that sort of the real technical stuff of changing fuses, apart from saying it's going to be the right fuse. When I was a kid, I would get so enthusiastic, I think that's the right word, so excited about wanting to play things. I'd blow fuses on old amps, and I didn't know anything about it, and I was like less than 20. And sometimes I do things, in desperation, I put tin foil around a fuse and put it back. And I can tell you, it's a very bad idea. Even though you've blown the fuse by touching the wires, you can't put tin foil around a fuse. It's got to be the right fuse. So you've got to do the research on that. Yes, you've got to get the dead right fuse. Get them. You'll see it on the circuit board, or you get a magnifying glass, you'll see it on the fuse itself. So be careful with that. Yes, don't do what I did. What other problem? I want to say this, because I have noticed young people don't quite understand the concept of the loose connection. I think because computers connect so well, all the computer wires just work. You don't have to jiggle them about. But, you know, if there are any young people watching, which is not super likely, but, you know, there's such thing as a loose connection, a loose inside here, a wire is loose, you know. So if things aren't working properly, you know, just manipulate these a little bit, move these around. And if it suddenly comes on, that tells you that's what you've got, a loose connection, which is almost certainly in this wire or in this plug, more than likely in here than in there. And, you know, that's quite easy to deduce. But strangely, I have seen people show this to me, and some people have no idea what's going on. You know, they think the amp's going to blow up, or boom, boom, boom. They don't get it. But it's just a loose wire, you know. In these plugs, you can get loose wires. What else would I want to say about this? I want to say, persevere. You know, people have given me amplifiers, and I've heard stories many times of people thinking amplifiers are broken just because they haven't pressed speaker select. You know, or particularly on vintage amps, there could be so many buttons. There can be mute buttons, there's the, you know, source, all kinds of funny things. Make sure you have take your time, have a real good look, mess around. You know, don't do the catastrophizing thing. You know, it's so easily done. When I plugged that Marantz in earlier, I actually thought it was broken on one channel. I could only get one channel, and I put my headphones on. I had one channel. I really actually don't know what happened, but I messed around for a minute, and next thing it was working. I probably had a loose, my connection, you know, my plug wasn't in right, or something like this. But so easily done. So easily done. Also, it's worth saying, if you are plugging in something really old, and it hasn't been plugged in for 10 years, it might take 2 minutes before it actually starts functioning properly. So if it doesn't work in a flash, you persevere. Give it, you know, treat it like a delicate old thing that's coming back to life, and give it some time. You know, I've had that a few times where, again, I think it's broken, and I just let it stay there for 5 minutes, and then it's working. I mean, you know, I don't know technically what's going on there, but that is truly what does happen. So yeah, hopefully your amp is working. You know, don't panic. That's what I want to say. And do deduction. It probably is okay. Fuses is a thing. Loose wires is a thing. Don't throw it in the bin. That's what I fear. Okay. So there's just a quick once over of troubleshooting. All right. If you like this channel, you can press a button. It's called like. Loads more videos on my channel. Okay. Thanks. Bye for now.